Well, good day, guys. Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, also known as Pro Bricky. I've been in the masonry construction industry since the Newcastle earthquake. I'd cut my teeth there. Also did my apprenticeship. Just ended my apprenticeship as the earthquake hit, believe it or not. Got a bit of a story for you today that I think Jason Mills will find an asset for the page. If you haven't subscribed to Pro Bricky, we've got 10k followers plus. If you want to jump in on that, you get videos on relationships, what's happening on jobs, tips and tricks on how to do things that you may not be aware of, stacks of stuff on there, etc, etc. Let's go now to why I'm doing this. I got a call to an insurance job. Can you go give us a price? I'm not going to tell you where or anything like that because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I will say the brickwork wasn't perfect, but it was redeemable. I don't think they needed to pull down what was going on. What you can see is in this picture, the fascias have gone on. The bricklayer's been a course low. He's come in a course low, and the fascia people have gone in and put the fascias on anyway, instead of the builder calling back the bricklayer and saying, look, we need you to run a course around the rest of the building. I'm not sure why this has happened. They've gone ahead and put the fascias on, and the fascias have lapped over the brickwork, so they haven't set their fascias at the right position. They haven't run a line through, and I got a call up. The brickwork has to come down. Now on this structure, I'll just try and get a couple more pictures for you. Hang on, guys. What's this one? On this structure, this is the side of the house. There was two step outs along the side of the house, individual step outs, 2.5 bricks by 20 bricks long, 2.5 bricks out by 20 bricks long. And then an indent, and then one end of the house and then the other end of the house. You can see here, you can clearly see the plate, the mounting plate for the fascia. And they've mounted this fascia. You can see there's still plenty of room for them to come across. They've mounted this fascia above the brickwork, right? Instead of calling the bricklayer back to, can you run on another course for us right around the building, and we'll put this fascia on. So I get up there, and my impression of the situation was the bricklayer had done a very bad job. Well, I wouldn't say it was the worst job I've ever seen. I wouldn't say it was the best job I've ever seen, but it was not the sort of work that you'd pull down. Let me say that. You can see here the space over the fascia here is a lot further than what it is at the other end. But again, you could still... These are the sort of things where unsupervised work is left at the mercy of people that want to rush or just not do things right. This fascia should never have gone on before the next course on the brickwork was put on, because the fascia guys, they should have realised this. They should have said something to the builder. But again, you can see here's a good shot of it. Okay, here's a good shot of it. They've had the level all over the work. This is out, that's out. I will say this was probably the worst part here. The last 3 courses on this had pulled across. You know how they pull across when you reach high. But again, let me just say, guys, that they've brought me in to crucify the bricklayer, right? And by nature, we love doing that, don't we? We love getting each other into trouble. Oh yeah, we get a lot of satisfaction out of that, don't we? But let me just say, by conscience, I don't go around doing that. It only tarnishes bricklayers' reputations more than what they already are. And we've brought a lot of this on ourselves. You can see they've had the level all over it. Look, it wasn't perfect, but as I say, I know builders that could have they would have said, wait to put the fascia on. The brickies come in a course low, And actually, when you think about it, they're going to have to put infills over these windows as well. So I get there and I ring up the gentleman that I'd gone up there for, who was independent of all this. And I said to him, look, I don't think it's a case of the brickwork. Worst case, I'll have to take these 3 courses off here. But it needs a course right round the building. And my price for that was $4,500. It wasn't a big building, it was just a little single story, but I'm not going up and doing this kind of thing and getting involved unless I'm getting paid for it. And so, he couldn't believe. I said, look, if you want to pull all this brickwork down, it's going to cost at least $10,000 to $15,000. You might think, well, how do you justify that? Well, when you're pulling people's brickwork down and all the rest of it over a 10 mil fascia discrepancy that should never have been put on without the last course going on, you're not going to pull down, $10,000 or $15,000 worth of brickwork over the negligence of the fact that the fascia went on without the last course there. That fascia, those fascia people, they're showing you the shot there where it's about 10 mil here, right? Just remember this, 10 mil here to, hang on guys, to 20, 25 mil here, right? What they do in those instances is, and anybody that's a carpenter that watches this, you're going to criticize the work, but you've got to get on with the job, and it's not negligence. You adjust your brackets to cut the brickwork right through, and then you cut your eave sheets accordingly. It's a little bit of extra work for the carpenters, but it's it's part of the way things go. You know how when you got to shift gauge and shift bond and all the things we need to do, particularly on block work when the steel's wrong and all this other stuff. This is one of those instances where the carpenters had come in and just cut their eave sheets on this end, cut their eave sheets at the size required at the other end, and you'd never even know. So all this brickwork you can see in the background, that's the back indent. They wanted all that pulled down. They wanted all this pulled down. And I said, no. There's no need for the brickwork to come down. You're going to have to take the gutter off. You're going to have to take the fascia off. You're going to have to put on the final course right round the building when necessary. It was right round the building. And then the eave and gutter people will have to come back and put the eave and gutters on. And I said, that's going to be a lot cheaper than it is pulling all this brickwork down. And they agreed. Now, they had this, you'd have this bricklayer, I don't know who he is or where he is or what they'd done to abuse him, but they would have threatened him, we're going to have to pull half the side of the house down, this, that, and all the other. You know what it's like. It's horrible abuse. Horrible abuse. And when you're on the back foot, I know a lot of guys they just don't know how to defend themselves, right? They don't know how to negotiate problems like I've worked on multi-million jobs, $1 million jobs, commercial jobs, where this happens a lot, right? It's just part of the course. And I've had supervisors that have gone, we'll just firstly, a lot of them would not have gone one course short. And I'm not sure why the brickies come in one course short. I'm not going to make an excuse for that. But it's not something you would back charge him on. You'd give him what's called first right of refusal to come back and put the last course on. But what happens is when this sort of things happen, they're usually psychologically abused to the point where they just don't want to go back and put the last course on. I know that's no excuse, but some of these builders and site managers and negligent people or psychologically abusive people get you to the point where you just don't want to go back, I would go back personally, but a lot of blokes won't because they haven't got the mental capacity to take any more of the abuse. So you've got the 10 mil overhang here. You'd bring your brackets out 10 mil. I'm not giving you a lesson on eave sheet. putting on eave sheets. You got your 25mm here, you'd adjust your bracket accordingly. After the last course has gone on, as I said, you take off your 3 courses on, hang on, it must be this photo, on this part here. That was all I saw that really needed to come off. You can go over it with the level all you like, but it comes to a point where what's practical, what's visible, what's not. A lot of these people that run around with the levels trying to get the brickies in trouble are usually trying to hide a bigger issue, the issue being that the eave and the gutter were put on when they shouldn't have been. I hope this gives you guys some encouragement. Shout out to Jason Mills and the work he does on the National Bricklayers Australia Facebook page. But remember, guys, you've got to be sober-minded. We do make mistakes, right? But it's not the end of the world. And when you get into a situation like this, you have to come back, put your last course on. Tell them the eaves should never have gone on. If the builder knew that the eaves, or the eave and gutter and roof people knew that the bricklayers were a course short, rather than rush and get it all done because they're there, no, we've got to stop, we've got to go away, let the brickie put on the last course, and we'll come back and put our eaves and gutters on after that. But that hasn't happened. They've tried to blame the bricklayer. I've come in and just by way of integrity and experience said, no, this is not the bricklayer's fault in terms of the fact that the fascias on this side of the building are have not been aligned with the edge of the brickwork. That really put their tail between their legs, and it was just a situation where the bricklayer does not need to have the concern that they're going to pull all this down. We put the last course on, which I haven't got this job. I was probably too dear, but you put your last course on right around the building, take this fascia and gutter off, come back, put it back on the way it should have been done in the first place. You're probably saying, well, what about the roof sheets? You won't need to move them. It's not far enough to worry about. And you just take it from there. Hope this helps, guys. Pro Bricky, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Bye for now.